Shalom. There is a passage in Revelation 19:10 which I would like clarification on. It reads, "Then I fell at his feet," that is the angel's feet, "to worship him. But he said to me, 'Do not do that. I am a fellow servant of yours and your brethren who hold the testimony of Jesus. Worship God.'" Well, after reading this, I asked, did John worship an angel? How is it possible for him to do that after he had so much revelation beforehand? Thank you so much for your thoughts.
This verse is one of the most interesting passages in the scriptures, and this apparent worship of an angel happened not once but twice in Revelation, so as to attract our attention, indicating that there is something of great importance in there. The first time we read of this, this is happening in Revelation 19:10, as you mentioned, and the second is at the very end. It's found in Revelation 22:9, before Yeshua comes back and gives the final message. Both verses are almost identical. Now, in order to explain these verses, let us first try to understand what is the message and then work ourselves up to trying to figure out what happened with John. What really stands out is the angel's reaction and words when he was faced with what appeared to be a worship directed to him or to them, because there were two. I will concentrate on the last words found in both verses. In both instances, the angel said, "Worship God." This is a major confession coming from angels and found right at the end of the scriptures. And that is the most important point that is being made. One thing we can be sure of is that John would not willingly worship an angel. It must have been a mistake from the angel's part. Most likely an angel wrongly thought that John worshipped him. Perhaps in the midst of all this great experience, John just fell down and worshipped God. But this was no accident. And if the Spirit allowed this incident to happen, it is because He has a message for us. And indeed, there are two great messages. The first is in how the angel answered what he thought was a worship address to himself. Again, he said, "Worship God." And why is this important? It is because this whole breach between God and men began when one angel, thousands of years ago, in the garden said, "Worship me, not God." The whole story of sin began when one angel, known as the devil, said, and as we see it in Isaiah chapter 14, 13 to 14, "I will ascend to heaven. I will raise my throne above the stars of God. I will sit on the mount of assembly, and I will ascend above the heights of the cloud, and I will make myself like the Most High." Here we have the 5 eye wheels of Satan, which brought down the whole creation of God by dragging with him 1/3 of the angelic being, as we read in Revelation chapter 12, verse 4. But 2/3 of angels did not fall, and here 2 of them are seen at the end of the story, at the end of Revelation, after that Satan and his demons are thrown into the lake of fire, proclaiming, "Worship God only." This statement then seals the story of sin. This is significant, for it marks the end of an era of angelic rebellion, and our history is linked to it. Let us remember again that when man was created, he was put in the garden, and there the fallen angel was waiting for him. But here other angels, good ones and holy ones, are waiting for man to usher him to this new great era to come. It is the story from Eve to John. This is the main thrust of the story. Now we can somehow figure out what happened to John, right? Did he really worship 2 angels, putting all these things together? I don't think so. Not after receiving again such great revelation of Yeshua as we see in chapter 1 and throughout the rest of the book of Revelation. Many times when one is overwhelmed by a revelation or even an inspiration from God, one just worships God, whatever he or she might be. This is what may have happened with John. In the first instance, in Revelation 19, this bowing down incident occurred just after he was given to see the marriage supper of the Lamb, knowing that he himself is among the bride, so he just fell and worshiped God. In the second instance, in Revelation 22, it happened at the time when he saw Yeshua reappearing to him and saying, "Behold, I'm coming quickly. He just fell down and worshiped right there and then. And in both cases, there was an angel with him who could have misinterpreted this worship but was equally touched by the revelation of both times. The angel said, worship God, such an expression of victory.